If you want to build a solid 1440p gaming PC and you want to splash some cash, you might end up with a gaming rig like this, one featuring the 7800X3D and RTX 5070, which can get pretty crazy frame rates in virtually every single game out there. So let's build it with the help of MSI and Lian Li. It's really not often that I cover the GPU first in these builds, but we've gone with the RTX 5070. Now, this is a very controversial graphics card, mainly because of Nvidia's borderline false marketing around it. It's not a 4090 replacement, believe me. However, I do kind of think it's underrated. Yes, it's got 12 gigabytes of VRAM where it should really have 16 or more, but they are coming down in price and you can find them for lower than MSRP pricing, which I think it kind of makes it a decent deal, even though the 5070 Super is on the horizon. So if you're not desperate for a GPU upgrade, it's probably better holding off. But I think this MSI Gaming Trio OC is a fantastic looking graphics card, and to help out with that, Lian Li sent out their universal 4-slot vertical GPU mount, which showcases the front of the graphics card. Like that. To be honest, it was kind of a tight fit trying to get this GPU vertically mounted in this PC because the back of it was kind of hitting the LCD, so we had to tilt it backwards like this, but to be honest, I think it looks kind of good. But back to the performance of the 5070, we made a video on it recently. It got on pretty well, albeit with a slightly worse processor for gaming. So I guess today we're going to be having great 1440p and maybe even 1080p performance. And that's because we're going to have absolutely zero CPU problems. We've gone with the Ryzen 7 7800X3D, which is one of the best gaming CPUs in the world. And in fact, I think it's far better value than its successor, the 9800X3D. I picked this one up for just £240, admittedly from a creator friend, Jordan Ash. You should definitely subscribe to him. He also makes tech content and PC gaming videos, just like myself. Anyways, it's been a long time coming for this CPU. I've been meaning to get one for years. And naturally, we need an AM5 board like the X870E Tomahawk from MSI. We featured this one in quite a few videos and it's absolutely perfect for a CPU like this, as it's got, well, an AM5 socket, and we've also got plenty of expansion options, like 4 M.2 slots. We're only populating one of those today. And we've also got a PCIe Gen 5 slot, which is very important because we've got that GPU riser and it's a Gen 5 graphics card as well. And then for the RAM, a sweet spot memory kit of 32 gigabytes, 6000 mega transfers per second, clocked at CL30, will do the job very fine, even though CAS latencies don't really matter too much with X3D CPUs. We still want some sweet spot RAM here. But we need a case to populate everything, preferably one with quite good airflow, as some of these parts can get kind of hot. Anyways, the Lancool 217 ticks that off pretty easily. It's got two 180mm fans up front, which, yeah, when they're sat behind a mesh panel, you're going to be getting plenty of airflow to all of our parts. But that's not the reason I absolutely love this case. It's got wood on it. That means it's instantly good and I'm instantly going to like it. I absolutely love cases with wood in them, if you hadn't noticed, because that's like what we mainly build with here on the channel. And I'm going to keep this case as my testing rig, as it's got taller side panels, so I don't need to bother with screws and it just pops off and then you just take it away, which is engineered so well. Please can every case manufacturer do this, because I'm fed up of like dropping glass panels everywhere. Might be a skill issue, but yeah, but it allows us to see the parts of our PC, and the cooler is going to be one of them. This is the Hydra Shift-C LCD 360mm from Lian Li, and it's kind of a unique AIO. This is because it's got built-in tube management, so you don't see the tubes go in front of all your PC build, especially as we've gone with a vertical GPU layout like this, so the tubes can't really be getting in the way, and they don't do that, and it's kind of an unorthodox cooler, but I absolutely like it, and it does a great job of cooling the Ryzen 7, but to be fair, this is a very efficient processor. And we're also going to need some fans for that AIO, as it's a bring your own fan sort of cooler deal we've got going on here. To be honest, I kind of respect this because you get to choose your own fans and you're also paying slightly less as there's no fans included. You could go with a competitor, or you could stick with Lian Li, which is what we did because we chose the CL wireless fans, which from my previous testing work absolutely brilliant, and they're pretty quiet as well. But these are fully customizable in Lian Li's L Connect 3 software, which we will be doing later, and we've also done it wirelessly as we don't need to hook up any RGB cables to these. All we need to do is hook up the PWM and SATA power. So all in all, it's a great looking PC, but how well does it play games? And to answer that question, we've tested it at 1440p with the latest NVIDIA drivers, so let's see how it gets on. Let's jump into Cyberpunk first, and the performance on the Ultra preset, you're not going to be having any problems. We're getting around 109 FPS on average with a 1% low of 78, so there's absolutely zero problems there. And dare I say, you can enable ray tracing. More on that in a minute. But I want to test some more esports games to let that 7800X3D stretch its legs. After all, this is kind of what the CPU is designed for. But yeah, we are kind of getting crazy amounts of performance. 375 FPS on average with a 1% low of 229 is not terrible performance at all. I'll certainly take that. And by the way, this isn't even on the performance preset. It's DX11 on medium, which is kind of crazy. Next up is God of War Ragnarok. This game can get crazy frame rate even on Ultra. And yeah, it does that today at 129 FPS on average with a buttery smooth frame time because the 1% low is at 114, so absolutely phenomenal performance there. And then there's Counter-Strike. This game just has 1% low problems on virtually any processor it seems, but still the average frame rate is just below 350, but that 150 for the 1% low isn't particularly the best. Still, it's very playable, in my opinion. Rainbow Six Siege scores the highest out of all the esports games because we're getting more than 450 FPS on average on the medium preset, which is kind of wild. Yet the frame time is still relatively smooth, I'd like to say, at 355, so if you had a 360Hz 1440p OLED, yeah, you're going to be having a fantastic experience here. But let's go to the other side of the spectrum with Cyberpunk 2077 on the RT Ultra preset with DLSS set to quality, and yeah, performance is going to be great. 76 FPS on average with that 1% low, just missing out on getting 60 FPS by 1 frame per second. Yeah, I'd say that is very playable experience, and dare I say, that's very good performance as well, so not a problem from this system here. So performance is absolutely brilliant. If you wanted to game at 1440p, particularly in sort of competitive CPU-bound esports titles, a system like this isn't going to give you any problems at all. But if you want to see a more in-depth test on the 5070, we've done one of those recently, which you can watch in a video up there or there. I don't know where YouTube puts it. So that's all well and good, but if you wanted to look at some data while you were gaming but you didn't want an overlay or tab out, you can do that because we've got the Lian Li universal screen, which you can basically mount anywhere in your PC build. I've used the included adhesive and just put it on the side of the PC, and to hook it up for power, you can either use an internal USB connection or an external and just plug it into the back of your motherboard, which is what I did. It's just a bit easier this way, yet it depends on how you mount it in your build. But we can fully control this in Lian Li's L-Connect 3 software along with the fans and the CPU cooler, and you get so much customization, especially theme wise, and I've gone with this Cyberpunk one as I really think it matches the sort of vibe we're going with this build, especially with the colours. It's like yellow and blue. And as I like to see what my temperatures are looking like, we've put the GPU and processor temperatures on the CPU block, and of course we adjusted the RGB for this to make it blue, so it looks great. But you'd probably think connecting all of these is a nightmare. It really isn't, to be honest, because you've got two ways of doing it. You can do it wirelessly, which we did with the CL fans on the top, or you could connect these using internal USB cables. Thankfully though, we're not going to be running out of any ports on our motherboard because our power supply, which is the EG1000, comes included with a built-in USB hub, so we can just put those in there. One of these cables needs to be connected to the motherboard for communication purposes, but as soon as you've done that, you've got a lot more internal USB headers, so it really works out if you've got a lot of Lian Li kit in your build. So overall, this PC's got both the looks and the performance. There's certainly no doubt about that. But I want to say a huge thank you to both Lian Li and MSI for supplying the parts for this PC build. And if you want to pick any of them up, they will be linked below with my Amazon affiliate links. I do make a small kickback if you purchase anything through these links at no extra cost to you. But with that being said, if you want to see how the RTX 5070 gets on by itself, there's a video up there for you. With that being said, I'll catch you in the next one.